I still remember the exact moment my daughter looked me in the eye, shrugged like I had been nothing more than a temporary babysitter, and said, "Your job is done now. Dad is walking me." I swear it felt like someone cracked open my ribs and blew out every bit of air I had left. I stood there frozen, trying to process those 4 words. My job was done. After 18 years of raising her alone, after all the nights I stayed awake while she cried, all the times I skipped meals to make sure she ate, all the times I showed up when nobody else did. Tell me if I'm wrong for what I did next. Tell me honestly, because I still can't decide whether I crossed a line or whether I finally took back the dignity I had handed over for free. I guess to really explain what happened, I have to start from the beginning. Back when my daughter, Maya, was just 5 years old, her biological mother left us early. No long goodbye, no heartfelt explanation, no dramatic scene. She just packed her things one afternoon and said she needed a fresh start. I remember holding Maya while she sobbed so hard her whole body shook. I promised her that day she would never be alone as long as I was breathing. And for years, I kept that promise like it was stitched into my skin. I brushed her hair before school, taught her how to ride a bike in our cracked driveway, stayed up helping her study for spelling tests. Even when I had to be up at 4 a.m. for work, she used to climb into my lap and say, "You're the best daddy in the world." I would smile, trying to hide how tired I was, and say, "As long as you're okay, I'm okay." Life wasn't easy, but it was ours. Then, when Maya was around 11, her mother came back into the picture, not because she missed her daughter, not because she suddenly discovered maternal instinct, but because she had remarried a man named Greg, who made good money and wanted to blend their families. I should have seen it coming. Suddenly, Maya was invited to weekends at their house. Suddenly, there were new clothes, new gadgets, new trips. I couldn't compete with that. I didn't even try. I just hoped she would understand that love wasn't measured in dollar signs or fancy vacations. But something started changing. The phone calls got shorter. The hugs got more awkward. She stopped showing me her drawings or asking me to help her with homework. It was slow at first, like watching a rope stretch thread by thread. But eventually the pull became obvious. There were days she would come home and talk about Mom and Dad. I'd pause and ask, "You mean your mom and Greg?" She'd mumble yes, but the slip-ups kept happening. I tried not to make it a big deal. Kids adjust, right? They explore, they compare, they drift, they return. At least, that's what I told myself. Fast forward to her teenage years, and the gap between us had stretched into something sharp. She still lived with me most of the time, because that was the custody arrangement. But emotionally, she spent more and more time somewhere I couldn't reach. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't rebellious. She was just gone. It was like watching someone you love slowly fade into a ghost while still walking around your house. Then came the engagement. Maya met someone in college. They fell in love, and suddenly there was a wedding to plan. I was thrilled for her, truly. I imagined myself giving her away. Imagined the father-daughter dance. Imagined the speech where I'd talk about how proud I was. I didn't care how distant things had become. I still thought those moments belonged to me. After all, I raised her. I was there when nobody else was. But then reality hit me like a brick tossed at my chest. About 6 months before the wedding, Maya invited me to her mother's house for what she called a conversation. I arrived, prepared for anything. Budget details, guest lists, maybe even a request to help pay for something. I never expected the words she delivered with a straight face. "Dad," she said calmly, "I wanted to let you know that Mom and I talked, and Greg is going to walk me down the aisle." I blinked, thinking I must have misheard. Greg, the man who entered her life when she was nearly a teenager. The man whose contribution to her childhood had been buying gifts while I worked double shifts. I asked her why. She shrugged, like we were discussing which brand of napkins to buy. Well, he feels like my dad. He's been there for me in ways you haven't. You were always working, always tired. Greg actually showed up to things. He completes the family. I felt my throat tighten. Maya, I whispered. I showed up to everything I could. I worked so you could eat, so you could go to school, so you could live. Does that not count? She sighed. Look, your job was done once Mom remarried. Greg stepped up. I'm sorry, but it just feels right. Your job was done. I heard those words again and again in my head, each time slicing deeper. I sat there in stunned silence as her mother and Greg smiled politely, like they were hosting a tea party, and not dismantling 18 years of sacrifice. Something inside me cracked open, not anger at first, just heartbreak so heavy it felt like my bones were turning to dust. I asked her if she still wanted me at the wedding. She shrugged again. Of course, if you want to come, but everything important is basically set. I drove home in a fog. I sat in my car outside my house for almost an hour, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I thought about every scraped knee I'd bandaged, every fever I'd soothed, every birthday I'd planned with money I didn't have. I thought about the years she and I spent with nothing but each other. And now I was being treated like I'd finished some temporary contract job. That night, I made a decision I never thought I'd make. I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I simply stepped back. If my job was done, then fine. It was done. I stopped sending money for the wedding. I stopped offering help. I stopped trying to insert myself into events she clearly didn't want me part of. I didn't stop loving her, but I did stop chasing someone who now saw me as optional. Months passed. The wedding grew closer. Maya barely contacted me. If she did, it was short, stiff messages. All the big updates came through social media posts, where I saw Greg's arm proudly looped through hers in rehearsal photos. Posts where she tagged him as the man who raised me. I wasn't mentioned, not once. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, she showed up at my door, unannounced. She looked frustrated, almost annoyed. Dad, why haven't you RSVP'd? And Mom said you're refusing to pay your share for the venue. I stared at her, calm in a way that surprised even me. Maya, you told me my job was done. I stepped back. I'm not paying for a wedding where I'm just a guest. She scoffed like I was being dramatic. You're still my dad. I took a slow breath. You only remember that when it benefits you. Her face twisted, but I didn't let her speak. You made your choice, Maya. You replaced me. Now don't expect me to fund the role you handed to someone else. She stormed out after that and didn't speak to me again until the wedding day. And here's where things got messy. Before I tell you what happened next, pause for a second and tell me, what would you have done in my place? Would you swallow the disrespect and show up quietly? Or would you hold your ground like I did? I really want to know, because this still nags at me. The wedding day arrived, and I wasn't planning to attend at all. But something deep inside tugged at me. Not for her, for myself, for closure, for proof that I had truly let go. So I dressed in a simple suit and drove to the event. When I arrived, people whispered. Some looked at me with sympathy, others with confusion, a few with thinly veiled judgment. I ignored all of it. Then the ceremony started. Everyone stood up. Music played, and there she was, my daughter in a white dress, holding Greg's arm as they walked down the aisle. She looked beautiful. She looked happy. And yes, it hurt like dragging my heart across gravel, but I stayed quiet. They walked halfway down the aisle. when something unexpected happened. Maya's eyes met mine. She froze. Her whole expression crumbled. Greg whispered something to her, but she didn't move. Then, in front of everyone, she let go of his arm and started crying. He looked shocked. Her mother stood up, furious. The guests murmured, and Maya walked, no, almost ran, to the side aisle where I was standing. She threw her arms around me and sobbed into my shoulder. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did any of this. I just wanted to keep everyone happy. I didn't think about how it hurt you. I didn't say anything at first. My throat felt locked. But after a moment, I placed a hand on her back. Maya, I love you, but you can't treat people like they're disposable. She nodded against my shoulder, crying even harder. I know. Please walk me. Please. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw the little girl who used to cling to me after nightmares. The one who used to run to the window when I came home. The one who trusted me with her whole heart before the world complicated everything. I took a deep breath and said, quietly, I'll walk you. But you have to understand that this doesn't erase what happened. We have to rebuild from the ground up. She nodded, wiping her face, and whispered, I will. I promise. So I took her arm and walked her down the aisle. People whispered again, but this time it didn't bother me. I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for the little girl who needed me again, for the man I was still trying to be, and maybe for the future we still had a chance to salvage. After the ceremony, things were awkward. Her mother glared daggers at me. Greg avoided eye contact. Guests had 1,000 questions, but Maya stuck close to me the whole night. She apologized again and again. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I told her we needed family therapy. I told her she needed to examine why she pushed me away so easily. She agreed to everything. And over the next few months, she kept those promises. Therapy was rough, emotional, raw. We talked about things I never knew she held on to. She admitted she resented how much I worked, even though she understood why. She admitted Greg made her feel like part of a shiny new puzzle, and she wanted to fit in. She admitted she felt guilty for wanting more than a tired dad trying his best. It wasn't perfect, but we talked. And that alone was something we hadn't done in years. Today, we're better. Not perfect, not magically healed, but better. She calls me regularly. We meet for lunch. She thanks me for walking her. She thanks me for staying, even when she pushed me away. And sometimes she still apologizes. I tell her I forgave her a long time ago. But forgiveness doesn't erase memory. It only makes space for new ones. So here's what I learned. Love isn't about being needed. It's about being chosen. And even though she chose someone else for a while, she found her way back. That's something worth holding on to. If you think I was right to stand my ground, hit the like button. If you want more stories like this, make sure you subscribe and tell me in the comments what you think about this whole mess. Was I wrong? Was I justified? I really want to know. I'll see you all in the next story.